We all know that two heads are better than one, but what if those heads are attached to a couple that happens to be married and making art?
We'll take a look at two households where that's the way the game is played, starting with John and Christina Monk. Their domain is fashion.
Producer videographer John McGrath has been everywhere from sporting KC Park to a runway during KC Fashion Week to tell the tale of this duo behind architecture.
So where are we, Christina?
We are in the Bower, and this is our space. You know, we use a lot of satin. This is metallic taffeta. You don't think I talk, but when there's a camera on.
Yeah, maybe we should get cameras more often.
I know. We're minimalists. We like it to be clean. The seam is completely enclosed.
I think fashion gives people an outlet to kind of show on the outside who they are on the inside. For us, architecture is it's a name that embodies this sort of modern, minimalist feel. We're trying to build clothing that people can wear and wear in whatever modern context they find themselves in. So,
I mean, ultimately, we're developing a commercially viable wearable art. You know, you hear wearable art and you think kind of some outrageous things, but this would be wearable art that someone would want to wear and be seen in and be recognized for it. And that, you know, is what the architecture part is supposed to be.
how many of those sheer tops do we have right now?
We've been married almost 17 years. So I think kind of sometimes we can just say a simple idea. And either one of us can just go with that.
We'll just make sure that that's kind of straight like it is now. Yeah.
And probably come up with something similar to the other one's idea too. Since we've been married, most of our jobs have been pretty closely tied to each other. I am a college instructor in fashion, so I teach courses in fashion design and in fashion marketing. I still do things at the school monthly. Okay. I'm just not teaching classes this quarter.
I work for Sporting Kansas City, which is a Major League Soccer team. Primarily, I work on everything that does or has to do with our merchandise. So I work on designing the player uniforms all the way down to the scarves that we sell at a game. We're selling as much as a typical mall store might do in a month. We're doing in 3 hours. So we want to make sure everything's set right. We've got everything as efficient as possible. And so before the game, we're just kind of finalizing all those details.
Rob Heinemann, he's the CEO. He had a description for you. What was that? Do you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's a funny one. When I met Rob a few years ago, one of the things we talked about was, my role with the team.
It's working good. Cool. Great.
He'll kid me about it, but he describes me as the vice president of cool. And, I think it's funny, but at the same time, it is something that I take seriously. So from everything that we do.
I'm gonna tweet out a photo of this scarf.
I'm there to make sure our brand's cool and our brand's growing.
Your head's growing. I hand draft patterns. Well, let's say I was going to put a dart in here somewhere, which means we have an inspiration we come up with, and we kind of look at some styling details, silhouettes we like. Then here's some other inspiration pictures, but then I hand draft the patterns from scratch or from something, a block or a basic template. And then once we know that the sizing works, I make the patterns. Then I cut it out and sew it in actual fabric. fun because it's always fun to gather with the big group of creatives.
It's a big group of people, and I think it's a community of folks who are, you know, looking for a creative outlet, and so it's something that's pretty fun to be a part of.
There was a lot of interesting things. There were a lot of interesting things going on. It was just a fun night, fun place to be. I don't know what time we're supposed to be ready. The last half hour before they go on will be a little bit stressful. I need that one! What if by chance one of them lost weight, one of them gained weight? I mean, who knows exactly in a week's time what might happen?
See, I think it might look better with just the top.
Or
Without
you,
the shirt.
you thought you made the right size belt and it didn't exactly turn out to be the right size, or you know, something could happen. But we want to look at each one before they go out there and make sure it's exactly what we'd envisioned before she hits the runway and we have it, you know, photographed.
The next chapter is putting as much effort into the business as we have into the design.